You and I are very similar in the fact that we both like love the Jonas Brothers and Miley together.
Uh-huh.
Growing up, I talk about Niley way too much on our Miley
It
Cyrus
comes up.
podcast.
It comes up. I would argue almost every episode. Yeah.
Things are so much more fun when you're not listening to like a crazy stan account tweeting about it. And like I was never the one tweeting about it, but like I would read the tweets
Yes.
and be like, oh my God, yeah, this is a flop. I can't admit that I like this song or this album.
Welcome back to Talk Miley to Me, your favorite Miley Cyrus podcast. I'm Molly.
I'm Becky.
And we are sitting here with Andrew today from Too Pop to Handle. We were actually recently on his podcast that we mentioned. I think like the last 2 weeks we've been talking about it. So This episode is finally here. But thank you so much, Andrew, for joining us today.
Oh my God, of course. Hello, everybody. Thank you guys so much for having me. I was just saying before we started recording, I had so much fun doing our episode and got such good feedback. So I'm happy that we're giving the people what they want. Another one of all of us together. I love it.
Yes, I hope you're ready to talk Miley to everybody.
Oh, I was born for this. There's certain people I'm like, I can talk about for hours, and Miley Cyrus is one of them. So
no,
I'm
people
like,
ask me.
Crack my knuckles. Let's get ready.
Yes, they ask me all the time. They're like, "How is there that much to talk about?" I'm like, I could go on and on and on. I could talk about her nail beds like a whole episode.
Right, you're like, we could do one about just the hair, just about the outfits over the years. It's like there's so much that you could do.
Exactly.
We have a running list. And people are always like, "Where's this deep dive?" And it's just like we have so much to talk about. It's crazy.
It's coming. And especially, I was actually thinking, like, obviously, you guys do the podcast even when Miley's not like in an era or like releasing things. And I was like, this must be like cracked down. Like, there's so much for you guys to cover now. It's like those extra ideas take the back seat because you're like, there's an interview, there's an album, there's a movie, there's a this. We're going to this. It's like you guys put everything on hold. You're like, no, we are in real time now. It must be very fun.
Exactly.
Some of our listeners are like, "Where's 2008 Part 1 Deep Dive?" And I'm like, listen, y'all, we're in this.
You're like, have you seen? Yeah. Do you know what's happening in 2025?
Yes.
Respectfully, of course. You know.
No, respectfully. No, I love the enthusiasm, but thank you for bringing that up because that's what we're always battling. We're like, well, we're definitely pausing on these deep dives because we're so enthralled in the Something Beautiful era.
Right.
But you know, we know the people want it. So just trying to balance both of those things.
Good things come to those who wait. That's what I always say.
And if there's anything we know about Miley is after Something Beautiful is done, there will be a period where we're not getting, we're getting nothing beautiful. We're getting nothing. So that's where we can really just throw all the other, you know, the deep dives from 20 years ago. But I wanted to first ask you, Andrew, before we talk about, we're going to talk a little bit about the film, Something Beautiful, because we have all seen it. And then we're going to get into your like fan history. But first, I wanted you to share a little bit about what Too Pop to Handle is and like how you got started with it.
Yeah, so Too Pop to Handle is my podcast and my newsletter and I guess just like my pop culture Instagram that I run. But at its heart, it's a podcast. And I have a lot of pieces of it, but the podcast is like the heart of it and everything else kind of is just extra. And I kind of found myself in high school and college being like the pop culture friend where someone would be like, oh my God, what is this Taylor Swift song about? Or did you see what Miley did? Or what should I listen to? Or do you have this CD? Like, can I borrow it to burn it? Not to date myself, but like we were swapping CDs and like burning it to our iPods.
Yep.
And like, I just kind of carried that title my entire life, like middle, high school, college. And I always had this idea of doing a podcast because I loved consuming content and I loved, you know, listening to podcasts and watching videos, but it was always kind of like, I'll do it, you know, whatever. And then in college, we had to do a project actually that was like producing your own podcast. So I did it and I was like, ooh, maybe this is something. And then I didn't do anything with it for like 6 years. It's fun, but like, I'll get there, you know, whatever. And then one day I was like walking home from the gym and I was like, oh my God, the name came to me. I was like, this is it. I have it. That was in January. Bought the mic, bought all the equipment, and then I didn't launch until October.
Oh, wow.
And because I was like sitting on it, I was like, I needed to be perfect. Like I didn't want to launch it without it having the exact way I wanted the logo. And like, you know, I wanted it to just be like, have all the pieces kind of fall in and then I'll figure out everything else as I go. And then I got home from work one day and I had a shitty day at work and I was like, it's now or never. Like I need to get this thing going. So like the sooner I start it, the sooner I can, you know, get this show on the road. And I told my boyfriend, I was like, tomorrow night, I need the living room for like 2 hours. I'm starting the podcast. And he had been hearing me talk about it for years at this point. And he's like, all right, he's no questions. He was like, yep, you're doing it. Go ahead. So then became Too Pop to Handle. I always joke that it's literally my baby because I came up with the name in January and started in October, which is literally 9 months. I'm like, I carried this thing for 9 months.
I love that.
And so it like oddly happened that way. I was like, wow, that actually works out. It's like a perfect metaphor,
yes.
you know?
Yeah. I love
but
that.
essentially the show is all of the moments from the week that were just Too Pop to Handle. So we cover all music releases, we do TV recaps, we do just like celebrity news, and just, cover we'll cover like a Rolling Stone interview that somebody does, or we'll cover like what's going on in somebody with their dating life or things like that. And just, it's like I said, all of the moments that were just Too Pop to Handle. So I always say it's like, if you are a pop culture person and you just want to hear another pop culture person's takes, is great for you, because I have so much like brain rot knowledge in my head that I'm just like, I just remember these things and I know about these things and I love to research it and like deep dive on things. So like you get that fixed. But also I'm like, it's good for people who aren't pop culture people because they get their fix for the week. They get to know what's going on without knowing what's going on. So it really kind of, not to bring Miley into it, but gives you kind of the best of both worlds.
Yes. That's so fun.
Yeah, it's been fun. I've been doing it. This October will be 2 years. So she's still a baby, we're still watering our plants and whatever, making her grow. But it's been so much fun. I've had so many cool opportunities. I mean, meeting you guys at the Miley event, which we'll get into, and just getting invited to this and that, and covering albums and stuff. It's been fun, and it's nice now that I've done it for almost 2 years. Where like when a Grammy episode comes up, I'm like, what did I do last year? I got to kind of like look back at it, or like when another award show or the Met Gala, I'm like, wait, okay, last year this episode performed well. Here's how I did it. And like, I can look back at it. So it's cool. I'm sure you guys have that same kind of idea where you can like look back and be like, wow, this worked well. Now you kind of can use that to guide the show to grow, which is cool.
Yes, absolutely. I always tell people like the hardest part about having a podcast is just continuing the podcast.
I read this stat
patience is everything.
Yeah, I read this stat once, and I think it was like 90% of podcasts don't make it past episode 7. And I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's true. So many people, and like celebrities, bloggers, influencers, even just regular people, like they start a show and they don't realize how much goes into it. And I think that's why I held off so long with starting it, because I was like, I really want to make sure I'm going to do it. Like, I'm not half-assing this. I'm not just going to like turn on the mic and like yap. And I mean, I do that, but there's thought behind it, like I'm researching a little bit, and I'm not just like regurgitating information and like, this is what happened. I'm like, oh no. And it's significant because of XYZ, so I feel like people don't realize, and you guys know, there's so much that goes into it after turning off the mic. So there really is like it's a commitment, but when you really commit to it, it's very rewarding and it's a lot of fun.
And if you love it, it's very fun. So we did meet you in New York City. I want to say like a little over a month ago now. It was like early May, right? Very beginning of May.
Yeah, it was Met Gala week.
Yeah.
Yes. And we talked about this a little bit on your podcast, but it was just really cool for us to like not just see Miley in person that close and see the film a whole month before it comes out, but meeting people that we've like known of online. I'm sure you can relate. Like
totally.
we met you, and then we also met Stylish Cyrus, which she's like
Jackie.
Yes,
so sweet.
Yes, Jackie. And just seeing people like that you know of but you don't know. It's really fun. But you got to see it early. We got to see it early. And then now we've all seen it as it premiered in the United States. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what your guys' takes are on that, because Becky and I haven't talked about it yet.
No, we haven't.
I'm seeing it the second time.
Lucky.
So I thought we could talk about this like now as we kick off the episode. Were there anything that you guys noticed the second time around that you didn't notice when you first watched it? And I can kick us off.
Yeah.
There's one thing that comes to mind immediately is in the Walk of Fame visual. I never noticed Max Miranda was in it.
I was going to say that was the first thing I didn't notice. I think I like noticed it. Like I knew there was somebody there, but I didn't like register it because of the rest of the visual. Like it was also just so much going on that I was like, wait, was that him? And I was like, then like at the end, like when you see him again, like that's such a bigger moment that I was like, didn't even cross. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, it was like, whoa, okay, yeah, I wasn't crazy.
Becky's looking at us right now like, wait, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know that Actually, now that we're talking about it more, I think I do. It was just like his profile, right? Like watching
it's
her.
Super quick. Like if you blink, you'll miss it. She like walks past him and they don't even like focus the camera really on him. It's just kind of like going, and it's kind of, you see him, but like I'm sorry, it's Miley Cyrus on the screen. I do have eyes for one on the screen right now.
No.
But yeah, it's him as she walks like down the street. I think it's like the second verse, I want to say.
Yeah, and you do see like his whole body, but it's just for a split second.
Yeah, like if you blink, you'll miss it. But yeah,
wow,
I remember like seeing it and being like, is that? And I was like, I have other things to worry about right now.
Yeah.
What I like the most about seeing it again and a second time is that I know the music now, and the shock factor because of seeing the visual was gone. So like, yeah, of course, like I knew when Naomi was going to come, and I knew when this was going to happen, and the star, and I knew like the basis, but like being able to know the lyrics and not. I also like that event. Like, I don't think a lot of people realize. I don't know if you guys know this, but one of my friends, she works at Cosmo, and she was there. We were chit chatting, and she was like, "So they decided that day that they were going to show you guys the entire film. It was only supposed to be like 4 or 5 music videos.
Oh my god!
Like it wasn't supposed to be the entire thing. It was like a last minute game time decision. That's what she told me, and like I have she has no reason to lie.
Right?
Yeah.
So like it was very much like in the moment they were like, fuck it, like let's just do it and like play the whole thing. So like kind of cool to know that it almost wasn't the whole thing, and like we did get such like an exclusive event.
That makes me feel even better.
I know. No, right? Seriously. But like,
not you coming on here and spilling tea like immediately.
Oh, and I know. I'm like, am I allowed to? No, it's like it can't be that bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not anything crazy, but yeah, I was like, oh my god, interesting. I wonder what made them change their decision. I think Miley's excitement, honestly, probably just like to have it out there, but B, also like then being able to like see it a second time again. Like I said, it kind of the shock factor that happened in the first time, and not knowing the words or trying to remember the lyrics and like, do I like this song? Like, what do I like about it? And because we had to come on our podcast and talk about it, I was like thinking so much. When I saw it a second time, I was like, I'm just going to kick my feet up, have my popcorn, and enjoy. Yeah. Everybody else can be gagged at every other moment. And I was like sitting there. I was like, Naomi's about to come on. I was like waiting, and it was like 3, 2, 1. They were like, yes. I was like, yep, there's proper reaction.
So the person I went with, she's a friend of mine. She loves pop culture, all the things. Mm-hmm. Not like a diehard Miley Cyrus fan, but really appreciates her music. And she had actually held off on watching all of the released videos that were already out until seeing the film. And I didn't know this until halfway through, but I didn't realize that she loves End of the World, the song, but she had never seen the music video. Same with Something Beautiful. I'm just like, girl, how do you refrain yourself from seeing these things for that long?
Yeah, no, the people I was with did the same thing.
There's a lot of people that did that.
Yeah. I'm like,
that's so impressive.
It's impressive.
Yeah. No, I'm sitting there and I'm like waiting for the countdown. I'm like, all right, come on, when are you premiering?
Yes.
My friend that I went with, my friend Jocelyn, and she's probably listening to this. She's a very supportive friend. So
hey, Jocelyn.
Girl. She said, she was like, you know what? I wish I waited. And my friend Lauren texted me the same thing. She was like, I wish I waited and didn't watch. But like, they're like big fans like we are, you know, like they're in it. They do all the stand stuff. So they were like, we couldn't not watch it. Yeah. Like we had to. So it is kind of two different types of people. That's like the people who don't watch any like spoilers of a concert. Like my friend went to the Eras tour completely blind. And I was like, opening night, I was like refreshing. I was like, I want to know. Yeah. I need to know. Same with like Beyonce. I'm like, how do you go into it blind? I need to know.
I know. I'm looking for the live streams, searching the set list for everything.
No, I go into concerts blind, but I'm like,
that's so impressive.
So blessed that we had the opportunity that we did to like, you know, see the whole thing without hearing it first. And part of me does wish that the rest of the world could have done the same thing, but I definitely would have watched everything and listened to everything I could before seeing the film if I was to see it for the first time. There was just seeing it on the big screen again, even the ones that I've seen a million times, like Something Beautiful, I was just in awe all over again just because it was so huge, and I felt like I was noticing things that I hadn't before just because it was Miley on the big screen. It was just incredible. And then just to bring it back to talking about Walk of Fame, I feel like watching it the first time that there was way more time on the Arnold Schwarzenegger star than there was.
I thought so too.
Okay. I thought so too.
Very prominent, but also like I think in the moment again that shock factor was like it was crazy. And like again, like we said on our episode that we did on my show, like it was right after the Met Gala with the picture of her, and you know it was like the whole thing. So like it definitely felt like it was longer, but I do think it was long enough for people to get the gist of it. Like but it felt, and then I was like, did she edit? And I was like, no, there's no way. Like they wouldn't have changed it. But like I was like sitting there waiting, and I was like, I feel like when I saw it the first time by this verse, it was already shown. And I was like, am I a liar? Like, am I a fraud? Did I imagine this? I was like, oh my God, what is happening? And then lo and behold, it did happen.
I was thinking the same thing.
I was sitting there like, if I had $1 for every single time I saw that name pop up on the screen, I would have like $3, which isn't a lot, but it's still weird that it would be three within one song.
I fully was like, I thought it was like most of the video, but again, like we saw it that so in a shot. Yes. I mean, they were handing us free t-shirts, free merchandise, open bar, free like it was a lot going on in a little area. So like, it was very, you know, I got literally like my invite like 3 hours before it started. I told you guys, like it was so last minute for me. So I was like rushing to get there. I just happened to be like downtown. So I was able to get there, but like I was in such like a frenzy that I even got to like end up making it there. So I was like, heads were spinning.
I'm not sure if you knew of this, but we actually almost didn't get in.
No way.
We've talked about this ad nauseum, so like we can tell you about it offline, but we were also in a state of shock just for being in the room.
God.
Yeah. Like please when we're done with this, please remind me so I don't forget.
Yes,
but it was traumatic.
Yes.
And our listeners know how dramatic we were about it. Okay, one last question about the film. Was there did your favorite visual change?
It did not.
It didn't? Okay.
No, Walk of Fame was still my favorite.
It's so good. I think that one grew on me even more, seeing it the second time, I was going to say.
Like, not that she did like crazy choreo, but like the little moments where she had a little like fun dance when she like drops down. Her outfit for that, I just loved. And I was saying like, I love that song because she's just like talking her shit about how she is Miley Cyrus. And like, I think just like the aura of LA and her walking down the literal walk, like it's just so...
good,
glamorous and Hollywood and fabulous. And I'm like, I'm obsessed. I loved it.
I did see somebody make a tweet saying that she had a stunt double for that music video. So I did
see she had a stunt double for some of it. So I don't know how much she had in it. Because if you look in like the credits, this is also just like the pop culture nerd in me. My friend sent it to me. The stunt double that Miley used for this, it's the same stunt double that Lindsay Lohan uses in Freakier Friday. So like stacked resume. Yeah.
She's getting her bag.
I was like, she never has to work a day in her life after this year. She is set, good to go.
Imagine.
So I was like, wow, I do wonder like what it was that she used. Because like if Miley's leg got infected while filming that, what was the stunt double there for?
Exactly.
I know.
Wait, that's kind of
I know there's that one pose she hits where she's like, not upside down, but she has her leg high up in the air. But I totally thought that was Miley because Miley does like yoga, Pilates, and she's very flexible.
Yeah, she's very flexible, but...
So...
crazy.
Hollywood magic.
I didn't notice at all. I don't know. I felt like I was like still in shock. Like I just, as soon as it ended, I was like, I can't wait till this is on streaming and I could just watch it 17 more times.
I know. I think it'll be like June 30th, maybe, right? Or it'll be.
I think soon after it's out internationally. It's got to be soon after that. No, More to Lose will always be my favorite. I think it's just the most stunning. My friend, I told her, I'm like, be ready to laugh, be ready to cry, be ready to be gagged. And so when More to Lose started, she goes, oh, so is this when I cry? I'm like, yes, exactly. I don't know. I just think it's so beautiful. But Reborn definitely is a very close second. I forgot the look that she's serving in that. I forgot about the hair, you guys.
Yes, it's so cool.
When she does the little Illuminati pose,
so good.
I was like, girl, the streets are going to be running with this.
We're never escaping it. Like it's always same with like Beyonce. Like we just like take it now. It's like we're always going to have Illuminati rumors. It's always going to follow us. Like you just let them go.
Forgot how sickening Interlude 2 visual is.
I was so excited to watch that again because I remember after watching it, I think I said this on my episode with you guys. I remember after watching Interlude 2, I was like, holy shit. And then like going into the dressing room and all of that. Like I remember being like, that was the first, it was like the first thing I was seeing that was new, really, because it was like going into at that point we hadn't like that was like the point where we had not seen anything, so I was already just like heightened. But like I remember after that I was like, she's doing what I needed, and I was so excited. So I was so excited for Interlude 2 to see it again because I remember it being so good.
Interlude 2, I don't know why, but like the choreo in that kind of makes me giggle. Like when I was seeing it in theaters, like I was kind of like laughing. I don't know why.
I know.
I don't know. There's a certain part of it where it kind of looks goofy.
Is it?
I was dying at the clip of you guys with the Snapchat on the phone and being like, "Can you play Interlude 2?" I was dying. I was literally like watched it 6 times in a row. I was cackling. It was so good.
Yeah.
And we can thank ChatGPT for making that picture.
No, I was like, this is A, just like a hilarious conversation, but also B, just like the editing on it. I was like, this is incredible. Thank you for taking the time to, you know, I appreciate it. If nobody else does, I see the work that goes into it. I was cracking up.
Thank you. Yeah, I was like, well, we should just go to the club and pop our pussy interlude too.
Hold it up, be like, please play it.
Any other thoughts on the film before we dive into Andrew's history with MC?
Okay. No, I mean, I loved it. I think it's such a cool thing for her to do. And I think it's time for Miley to do a visual album. Like, it makes sense, you know?
Yes.
So I think this is the perfect album to do it for. I think she did the perfect amount of, like, some of them were her just like looking pretty, standing there singing, and like, that's fine. She looks incredible. And some of it was more of a story. And I think she had a good balance.
I agree. That's a great point.
I totally agree. So the Something Beautiful event was not your first time being at a Miley event, I should say.
No.
Can you walk us through like all the different times that you've been to a Miley event or met Miley, your history there?
There's a lot. So buckle up. If anyone listening doesn't know, I live in New York, and I've lived in New York I lived on Long Island. I grew up on, and then which is like I was like an hour and a half from the city. So it's always very easy for me to get to Manhattan, and I live in Manhattan now. So I always state when I say things like this to people, I'm like, I know that I'm very lucky to live in New York to have these opportunities. Like I understand that, because people are like, how do you go to so many things? I'm like, it's in my backyard. Like, why would I not be? The first time I saw Miley actually was at the Thanksgiving Day Parade in 2007. I told my mom I wanted to go specifically to see Miley and the Jonas Brothers, and we went. We saw them. They didn't perform or anything. And we went home, but it was perfect, and it was everything I needed.
That's iconic.
And I was like, this is enough. This will get me over. This will hold me there. But the first time I saw her perform was breakout release morning. My mom and I literally camped out for the Today Show overnight on the streets for when she did the Today Show to promote it when it came out. And it was like, it was insane. We got there at like 7 p.m. the night before. It was like me, my mom, a bunch of little kids, and like all of us like sitting on the streets making posters. We were like on the news because they like couldn't believe we were all camping out overnight. But like we were like, we have to do it. Like we have to see Miley, and that was I couldn't go to Best of Both Worlds tour because it was like so insanely expensive. So my mom was like, the first thing she does in New York next era, we will do it. And it was Today's Show, and we went and we had the best time. And it was so cool to be there for like an album release day before like I mean, it was 2008, so I was young. So like I didn't realize how exciting like an album release day or week was. And like that's one of the events that I think I'm like, wow, that was like what started my interest in like album cycles, because I didn't know what it was. It was like that, and like then like I'm a big Jonas Brothers fan as well. So like I remember when they did like the Virgin Megastore for a little bit longer. I went to the show that night, and my mom and I like walked to Times Square to try to go see them, and it was just like chaos. But like that year, it was the same year, and I remember those two moments so specifically, just in like my life being such big moments of like, oh, this is like a thing. Like the music, there's a cycle to it, and you know, it's playing, and that kind of like got my wheels turning. And I think it's a lot of like the things that I used to do when I was younger really like led me to everything I'm into now.
That's incredible.
The first time Miley did the Today Show, it was for Hannah. So for her to do it as Miley, they kept saying like, this is insane. Like you're here as Miley Cyrus. You're not here to promote anything Hannah. And like, I remember hearing that and being like, yes, she is. I remember being like proud as like a 13-year-old being like, yeah, we're here for you. We're not here for Hannah. Love her. But like, we're here to see you sing 7 things.
And I think
8 o'clock in the morning.
I think that meant so much to her too. Like as she talks about that time in her life, and we've done like we've been doing our like yearly deep dives, and we've deep dived into the Breakout album. And during that time, she also talks about how much it meant to her to be able to introduce herself as Miley and like quote break out into her own, which I guess we got a little bit with Meet Miley Cyrus, but Meet Miley Cyrus was tied so closely to that Hannah Montana 2 that it was different.
It was so different.
She performed 7 things. What else? Do you remember what else she performed, or was it only? I know, I'd have to think.
I know it was 3 songs, but that was so long ago that
she did like so much
3 songs
too.
in a bonus, right? Yeah, I'm sure she did like "See You Again." It was like just a year later. Yeah. I think 7 Things was the only single at that point. That was the only single she did for Breakout until like afterwards when it came out. So I think it was like 7 Things. That I don't remember, honestly.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. She did so much. That was my first time like I saw her perform live, and I remember like I was like, oh my god, I need to just see her every single time she's in New York. I went to the Wonder World tour, which was incredible.
Oh my god.
one of the best shows I've ever seen to this day. I remember like watching her fly around on the motorcycle, and I went with my aunt, and we got tickets the night before because like it was the paperless ticket, so like you couldn't just scalp them. You had to like get them from Ticketmaster, and like the person who bought them had to go with you. So like she was like, we will go. We just have to find the tickets, and like we ended up getting a last minute ticket the day before we went, and she was like, that was incredible. And like I come from a big concert family. Like my mom was pregnant with me at Woodstock and didn't know. Like she was literally at Woodstock in 1994 and had no idea. So I'm always like, iconic. I was at Woodstock. Like this is why I am we're here. Like it's literally, in my blood, like since day one.
I was in my mom's stomach for an AC/DC concert.
Yeah,
so like, I totally relate.
Crazy. Yeah, it was the year Green Day did Woodstock, which like is a huge iconic day for Green Day fans. I didn't know this. My friend Jocelyn again is a huge Green Day fan, and she was like, the fact that your mom was there and that you were kind of there, like, is iconic. Like a huge day in Green Day history. I was like, well, work. I love that.
Work. Yeah.
And then the first time I met Miley was bangerz release day. She did that signing at Planet Hollywood.
Yes.
Right.
And it was like I got there super early with my friends. We camped out. Not overnight. We just did like the morning of. Cause they were like, you can't line up till a certain point. So we like lined up, did our thing, and that was the first time I met her. And it was like so cool. They like decorated Planet Hollywood. It was like rest in peace Planet Hollywood. It was such like an iconic place in Times Square, and it's not there anymore. And I'm like, we are losing ancient texts. However, they had like big balloons everywhere that spelled like bangerz and like all the like emoji balloons. It was really cool. So that was great. And she was so sweet. And I just love that I was able to like meet her the first time in that era. Cause I was telling you guys, bangerz came out in a time where like I was graduating high school, and it was kind of like going into this new era, and it was such a 180 for Miley. So like I love that that's like kind of my first time that I got to like actually meet her and like interact with her after seeing her for so many years. And then the bangerz tour, I went kind of crazy. I followed it around the country.
Oh my goodness.
I think I was counting earlier. I went to 8 shows for the bangerz tour. I know. But because Miley had like before that, it was Gypsy Heart and it never made it here.
Yeah, true.
Before that, it was Best of Both Worlds and I couldn't go. And now I'm like, thank God I went, because she's never going to tour again to that capacity.
Yeah, and no one even knew.
And it was just such a fun show. And like I was going, I'm not going to get into it, but like I was going through like personal stuff in my life, and I was just like, I need something to like bring me some joy. So I'm just going to go see Miley Cyrus as much as I can. And again, living in the tri-state area, like it was like New York. She did 2 New York shows, and it was like Boston, Chicago. I came to Chicago for closing night. And like all like the tri-state area. The furthest I went was Florida, because it was my spring break. But a lot of it was out. Yeah, it worked out perfectly. And then like I had a friend in DC, so I went to DC and saw her. I made a lot of like trips out of it. So it wasn't like I just went and left. I mean, there were some times where I just went and left, but like I would go and like spend a weekend in Boston with my friend, and then we would go see the show. So like, but I was just like, you know what? I was YOLO. Like 19. I was like, whatever. Like I'm going through XYZ. I'm just going to do it. So
that's amazing.
That was one of the first shows. The first tour I ever like followed around was Jonas Brothers 2013, the infamous one where they like broke up right after.
Oh my god. I followed
that around, but like not to the degree for bangerz. Like I was like figuring it out as I went. Bangerz, I was like, no, I'm gonna like do a whole thing for this. I'm gonna like make a trip and do like, you know, make it more of just following a show.
That's incredible.
So I did hella banger shows, which was incredible. And like I just love the bangerz album. I loved it from when I first heard it to like now it is still my favorite album, which I'm getting ahead of myself, but I just love that era and everything. So it was just so, I just love that I have those memories, and like I did it with so many friends that like we all went together, and it's just like a big part of like my freshman and sophomore year of college.
Which city was your favorite?
I was gonna say that.
Florida was my favorite.
They only get crazy.
Crazy, but it was, and this is morbid, it was the only show that I saw pre-Floyd. My second banger show was Boston, and we had sound check because she canceled the Boston Jingle Ball that I was also at, and she canceled it. So we all got sound check. Floyd died the night before. So, or like 2 nights before. So like I saw the bangerz tour once pre-Floyd passing, and then like I was there. I was front row in Boston the night that after she announced Floyd passed. So like I was, when that's, you know, the videos when she's like sobbing on his paw during Can't Be Tamed. Like I was literally, I feel like I shouldn't even be like recording. Like I was like, I can't even take photos of this because like it was so sad. And she still put on a great show. All the rest of them. But I always do tell my friends, I'm like, it was a shift even from that first show to like by the end she was kind of getting into that like dead pets mindset, and it was getting a little more trippy, and like she was getting a little more experimental with things. Like even the visuals on closing night, like she had like it said like thanks for coming on the screen, and it was like CUMMING. Like she was just like getting very like, you can tell something was changing in her, and I was like, it was really interesting to see it like kind of progress as it went.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah,
and Floyd's like, I mean, impact.
I always say the fact that like that was the animal that she had on stage with her,
right?
Like that is crazy.
Yeah.
You know, like and like of course the show was fantastic everywhere I went. Like she wasn't sad every single time, but like that Boston show, I will never forget how like like even the sound check, she was hysterically crying the entire time, and Noah was just like hugging her leg on the B stage the whole time because she like was inconsolable. It was so sad, but I was like, we were like, well, we're here. Like, what are we supposed to do? Not go? I was like, I'm going to the show. Like,
but for those who might not know, Floyd is Miley's dog that she had back in like 2013. I think he was her baby, and he was, I think, killed by coyotes, right?
Yeah, he was like eaten by coyotes. And I would think, and like it was like while she wasn't home because she was on tour, I'm pretty sure. So like I always think, I'm like, I don't even know the last time she saw the dog before it passed away, you know?
I know,
and he was only
sad.
Like 2 or 3. He was like young.
He was a baby.
Yeah,
he was young. Yeah. So that was sad. But I mean, the whole tour was incredible. So I did hella banger shows.
Incredible.
And I'm trying to think like timeline of Miley. Then it was Younger Now was the next time she did like a whole thing.
An actual thing,
I met her Malibu release day. I met her as U100. I went to like 2 or 3 of the radio shows. Remember she was doing like those fun radio shows?
The Wango Tango shows.
Yeah, I did the BLI one and the KTU one. I think, yes, just the 2. I met her at the BLI one. Her team came through again for me, which is really cool. And they were like, yep, come in. And it would actually, this was another like thing, it was kind of tea. It was supposed to be a photo of like 17 of us, literally, and Miley, like a big group fan shot. But they were going in pairs for the radio contest, and I was the first one in the fan group. So since it was going so fast, I just kind of like, they were like, who are you with? I was like, oh, I'm by myself. They're like, right, go. And I'm the only person the entire day that got a single photo with Miley.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody else was either pairs or a group. And like, I remember the person from her team who I know, she was like, how did you do that? I was like, I just walked in and we did it. And I was like, I went through the whole gallery and I was like, how did I manage this? But I was like, you know what? I'm not going to complain.
So you just got to look out for yourself sometimes.
It's true.
I was there by myself. I was like, I'm not, why am I worried about everyone behind me?
Yeah, you don't know them.
No. And then I met her, Nothing Breaks Like a Heart era. She did like the, like when she was doing all the press for that, I met her during that. I saw her at the VMAs 2019 for Slide Away, which was
gosh.
Wow.
I mean, and it was like a last minute surprise thing. Like we didn't know. And like me being me, I was like freaking out already because it was like Taylor and Lizzo and Shawn Mendes and all these great performers. And they add Miley last minute, who's like one of my all-time faves. I was like, this was for me. And actually for the 2016 VMAs I went to as well, they announced Beyonce at the exact same way. And I was like, this is just, I guess this is going to be a common theme. Yeah, this is just very serendipitous. So I saw her for VMAs 2019. And then I think from 2019 until now, the last time I would have seen her was at the Something Beautiful screening. And then I met her at Rough Trade and did the performance there last week, which was fabulous. It was so cool.
Oh my God, she looked so good. She sounded so good.
Truly, clearly I've seen her sing live plenty of times. And I told her when I met her, I was like, this is like the best you've sounded and the best album you've done. She was like, thank you so much. Like you could tell how much she appreciated the fact that like, I don't know if she remembers, whatever, but like I like told her to her, she was like, thank you seriously so much. And then she started personalizing vinyls like after me. And I was like,
yeah,
do that? Your impact.
Your impact.
It was, no, she was so kind at Rough Trade and she sounded unreal and she looked unbelievable. It was just like such a fabulous event. But yeah, I've had quite the history with Miss Miley.
You live my dream life, just so you know.
Yeah, I know. I always say, I'm like, it's crazy, but also like, it's very normal in New York, you know? Like we all, all my friends that I know, like from New York stuff, like this is what we do. Like we go tons of times. And we just kind of, it's, I don't know, it's fun.
It's a lifestyle.
So truly.
I just knew that like, I feel like the universe knew if I lived in New York, I'd be too powerful.
Bad News Bears.
Yeah, I'd be too powerful. So he's like, I'll just throw you in the boring Midwest.
Keep you here.
where you simply don't belong, but you will exist.
Was Something Beautiful your first time in New York, or had you been before?
I had been before. I have a friend actually that lives in New York. Her name's Mackenzie, but she's like trying to do the acting route.
Yeah,
But so I visited her last year, and that was my first time. Then I know Becky went there like a couple years ago for a PR convention.
I was there a couple years for like a conference, so I was mostly immersed in that, but did do a little bit of sightseeing. But we were in New York for like 22 hours.
I remember watching your vlog, and I was like, wait, they literally came and left. Like it was
like, so last minute. It was like Friday we found out, had to get off work. Luckily we could both get off work.
Yeah.
It was just that quick, but it was so fun. It was the closest I had ever been to Miley. We didn't meet her, but
I've never been that close. I was at the bangerz tour, and that's the only other time I've been in the same room as Miley.
Yeah.
Did you go to Chicago?
Yeah. We were both
there? It was so good. Oh, so much fun.
That's crazy, actually.
It was closing night. Yeah, it was the last night of the show of the tour.
Yeah.
So sad I never saw that tour.
And I was at Lollapalooza too, but I was
I
pretty close
had
to her
tickets
there.
for Lollapalooza that year, and for that random show she did in like, what was it, like Michigan or somewhere?
Wisconsin.
Like,
that's where Molly
Wisconsin.
was.
At Summerfest?
Yes, I had tickets
was
for
there.
both, and then I knew financially, because I had just moved to the city, I was like, I shouldn't. Like, I can, but I shouldn't. Like, there'll be more. Little did I know she was never going to tour again. But I was like, I should have went.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know what? Other people, I was very happy. I sold my tickets to like people that I knew, who or like fans that I knew. So I was like, I'm glad people I know get to have the experience and like can go. But I was like kicking myself. I was like, I should have just gotten on the flight.
Well, they were actually pretty cheap tickets.
They were.
I only went because I was supposed to go to Lollapalooza with Becky to see Miley. Got COVID like the week of.
No.
Couldn't go. Luckily, I did get my refund because I had COVID. Like Lollapalooza was really good about that.
Yeah.
But I was sobbing. I was so sad because the last time I had seen her before that was Best of Both Worlds tour. That was the last time I had seen her before that. So I was so looking forward to it. Was crying. Just decided I'm going to buy 2 pit tickets for Summerfest. It was like $500 for 2, which is actually, I feel like, pretty good to see Miley. 2 pit tickets.
I mean, also considering like
for both.
What prices are now, like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so brought my boyfriend with me, got him a Miley shirt. He wore like a Miley shirt and we like braved the pit, and he had a good time. So yeah, it worked out. But those were the only times I had seen her. Best of Both Worlds tour in like 2008. She came back to St. Louis without the Jonas Brothers. Big T.
Bummer.
I think it was because it was January 2008. They said they had family problems. I think it was, I think it was the breakup, whatever. And then 2008 until 2021 or 2020. Yeah, 2021.
Wow.
So it was a huge time jump, but it was everything.
At least you didn't have to wait that long this time. Like to see her again after that, it was 3 years, so it's not too bad. Or 4 years.
Yeah,
it was not bad at all. Yeah, but it was insane. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about your personal favorites with Miley. You already talked about your favorite era album. Is it Bangerz?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Just as a whole, like if I look at like a whole package, it's Bangerz. I think it was just like, I was obviously a huge fan before that, and she was already like up there as like one of my all-time favorite artists, and like I had seen her a bunch or whatever, but it was just like, that was just, I think just the timing for me just hit so perfectly that like, not that I was to the extent of like shaving my head and partying and all that jazz, but it was just that idea of like a new me kind of, and it just like
free.
Hit so and it just felt so correct, so I think, and I also just I think that album I probably go back to the most. To like listen to, like if I need an album, just like throw on, like, and definitely Bangerz.
Do you remember when you first saw Miley or Hannah Montana? Like, do you remember that moment?
I mean, we talked about it. I remember watching the premiere of Hannah Montana. And no, I wasn't like, oh my God, I'm a huge fan. But like that, I remember that. And then I remember when See You Again came out, and my stepdad was like, did you hear Miley's new song on the radio? And I was like, Miley doesn't do music. And he was like, no, it's good. And I was like, okay, I'll listen to it. Cause I didn't wasn't like online as much, like, And then I remember, I like looked into it more, and like, I remember like the Start All Over music video and watching that and being like, this is so well done, like the whole one take thing, and like that kind of started it. But I think like what really like, if I really had to be like, oh, maybe it was like this one moment, I think just like all the like excitement between like her and Nick, honestly, then like 7 Things and the photo, like it was like gaggy, like that was our Britney and Justin. So like, and I remember, and I was a huge Jonas Brothers fan at the time. Like honestly, like there was a time in my life where I was like a bigger Jonas Brothers fan, just because I was like, oh, they're boys, and like I'm a guy, like I can relate to them more. Like, baby, you have a crush on them all. You're not, but like, I tried to pick the facade. But I remember just being like, oh, she went there. And like when the photo, like the towel photo, I remember being like, oh my God, like this is crazy. And I was like, I loved I'm Lindsay Lohan. I also am like, she's one of my favorites. And I remember like being thinking like, oh my God, this is like, it's kind of like giving Lindsay in that sense, but like, how is she going to do this? And I remember just being so like, oh my God, she's going there, but she's also still on Disney, and like being so fascinated by her, you know?
You and I are very similar in the fact that we both like love the Jonas Brothers and Miley together. Growing up, I talk about niley way too much on our Miley Cyrus podcast.
It comes up, I would argue, almost every episode. Yeah.
I mean, understandably.
It was iconic.
It was just 11 nights into June a few days ago.
We are children of divorce.
We should have posted about it.
Really? I used to be big into it. And then after a while, like after Nick got married, and I was like, I have to like let this go. And like when she said that the other day and she was like, niley forever, but he's married with kids, I was like, this is what I had in 2019. Like I had that exact same feeling of like, I can let this go because I know like we're good. But like I was a niley truther for longer than I would like to admit.
A niley truther. Exactly.
Not even a truther. It was real as hell.
Yeah. No, I feel so seen. Even long after the like 2008, 2009 of it all. Like even in 2013 with the wedding bells.
Or I was there at Radio City when you sang it, and I was like on the floor. I was like, no fucking way is he doing this. Like
that is a Miley event you did not bring up.
I was like, holy, no. Like, that should be categorized.
That counts. That was iconic.
That is so funny.
And it was recorded like on a really shitty camera, and like all of us were on YouTube.
Me and all my friends had single seats. We were all across from each other, but like no one was near. And I remember we were just we were like, what the fuck is happening? It was crazy.
History.
And then like she posted the photo, when was that, a few years ago, and she tagged him like a couple years ago. And I was like, oh my God, she's doing it again. And I was like, there's no rest. And then let me not. The red heart he commented on Grammys 93 years ago.
Yes, it's so crazy.
You know,
we'll do another episode.
Yeah, a deep dive into niley. People are going to be like, get over it.
Have you seen that fan made like documentary about the two of them?
Of course,
a million times.
There was a point where like my friends and I would like when we were together, like my Jonas friends and like my internet friends, like we would watch it just for fun. Like, let's put it
I
on
made Becky watch it.
It's true. It was really well done.
Really well done, but like that was one of the things where I was like, I've got to chill out a little bit. Like, I was like, I gotta reel it in. I can like be a silent supporter, but I'm like, gotta let that ship sail.
Feel you. I totally feel you. Okay, so you cover like a lot of pop music, a lot of pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think sets Miley apart from the other girls or like anyone else? I know Becky kind of talked about this a little bit earlier in the episode of, you know, that's why her music videos aren't doing the best, is because people are waiting to watch all of them at once. There's a lot of conversation going on in the Miley fandom about how her new album is doing like commercially.
Yeah.
I guess I just want to know like what your take is on that, and why do you think her career, like why do you think it's still going so strong on how it is?
Something that I take pride in, that I used to be like very like at like, oh my God, this album, like the sales, the numbers, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Like a few years ago, I kind of was just like, why does it matter? And like, I had this, I always joke, I'm like, it was like my Saturn returning. I'm like, I had this realization that like things are so much more fun when you're not listening to like a crazy stan account tweeting about it. And like, I was never the one tweeting about it, but like I would read the tweets and be like, oh my God, yeah, this is a flop. I can't admit that I like this song or this album. And then I was like, why do I care? It's music. We're supposed to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I think I was obviously a Miley fan before that, but I think like what draws me to her so much is that she kind of doesn't care.
Yeah.
Like she's kind of will do whatever, and like she'll change up her sound and do whatever. And like, even like she talks about Flowers, like she didn't think that was going to be the hit that it was. And like winning a Grammy was like such like a foreign concept of her, because they kind of like toyed in her face so much. And like, yeah, of course it bothers you as an artist and you want it, but like she doesn't, I think what stands out to me so much from her is that she's not chart hungry.
Yeah.
Because if she wanted to be, she could be. And like, and I say this with love because her team has been nothing but great to me, but like her team doesn't do a lot of the traditional things that other artists do. They're not doing as much of the promotion and whatever.
Yeah.
But because like Miley doesn't want to do all of that all the time. Like this era right now is crazy. The fact that she's doing these podcasts and whatever and like doing these interviews and this and that, like I'm like, this is like big. Like even like I remember like younger now when she did Fallon. Oh, I went to that. I went to the taping for that. That was cool. The sound check for that. But even now I was like, this feels so authentically Miley, and she doesn't do things that are, I'm just doing this because I want to. She's not going on like the big podcast because she wants to be the biggest thing. She's like, I'm going to do the shows and the interviews and the events that I want to. And like, that's it. I'm not going to tour it because it's not good for my voice. I'm going to do these shows at Rough Trade and the Carlisle and Chateau Mama and like figure it out. And like, she's just so in her own kind of sphere where like, maybe it affects her offline, but like, we don't see her chasing a hit the way some of these people do. And like, she's not doing a big, I get artists who would be like, hey, if you use my song, we'll pay you X amount of money. Like I'll get emails like that sometimes. And like Miley doesn't need to do that. She's like, I don't care. Like use the sound. I'm going to support it and like repost it. But like, they're not like doing the payouts and they're not doing the chart chasing and the auto, what is it called when they like auto sync the song to play next? Like at the end of a queue, like they just like, I say this with love. They don't care. It lets the music shine so much more.
No, I agree.
My other two, like, I would say like my big three is Beyonce, Lorde, and Miley.
Okay.
And like, obviously Beyonce is Beyonce. Like she's going to do well and she's the most but like at the end of the day, like she's an artist similar to Miley where like they are creating art. Same with Lorde. She's not sitting here chasing a hit. She's like, I wrote this album because I want you to hear it. And that's what gravitates me to an artist when it's music. And like, it definitely was a shift in my mind when I was like, I need to stop reading these tweets of like, this album sold 74,000. I don't even know. Like, I was like, I don't even know what the good amount of units to sell is. Why do
especially,
I care?
Yeah, in this day and age where everything's so different with streaming and like being on TikTok, and it's for me, it's kind of hard to nail down what is good because it's all about like it being in the culture and it's just so different.
Miley has made her mark on culture long before like TikTok, and I mean like. I would argue that like her 2009 tweets were much more of a cultural thing than like what's happening on TikTok. Like thinking when she was like tweeting, like she was unhinged on Twitter back
oh my god
like, I had those text alerts on at 40404 to read every single thing because I was like, this lady is crazy and I'm obsessed with her. And that was part of the gravitation to her too. Like she was just real. And then we always never forget when she deleted her Twitter and the whole Twitter rap that like I could recite it still like Twitter. Literally I'm like she had such a cultural impact before all of this that like now she can just do what she wants and like that's what I think keeps her going because the fans know it, you know?
Yeah. My comment earlier, I like make those silly comments just to feed into
what
I see online. But like genuinely, I'm just like, okay, and I'm enjoying it. The real fans are enjoying it. That's what it's for.
That's all that matters.
I always say I will celebrate anybody going number one, anybody winning a Grammy. I will always celebrate it, but I will never look at an artist because Cynthia Erivo's album just debuted at like 174. And I'm like, it was still a fantastic album. Like, it was beautifully. I'm like, is that great on paper? No, but like, okay, she like, who cares? You know, people were like, she debuted. What was it, Miley number 4, right?
Yeah, was it 4 or 5?
I think
4
it was
or 5, whatever it was. I'm like, there's still 196 spots she could have been at. Like, who cares?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I know Becky and I have grew to be annoyed by some of the online chatter and it's just
that's
negative.
Why I just don't read. Even like I did a whole episode on Lorde recently with like her Rolling Stone interview and somebody commented like something kind of negative just about like the way she's promoting her album and I was like, no, I deleted it. I never delete comments because like I'm not like that, but I'm just like I'm literally talking about like how this album is all about her gender euphoria and everything she's going through and like all this stuff. And I'm like, and you're just worried about numbers. I'm like, you're missing the point of why I'm spending an hour and a half talking into a microphone in my living room to educate you guys on like why this matters and why these artists are doing these things.
Well, because if you're just thinking about numbers, that's so like surface level and like boring to me. Like anyone can look at
we have the hit makers, which like great, and I love them too, don't get me wrong.
We need them,
but like and
like, they'll cycle out eventually, like
and that's fine, that's how it works. But I'm like, there's a reason Miley Cyrus has been releasing music since 2006 with Hannah.
So crazy.
Like,
she's had so many like mountain moments with
Right.
in a commercially successful way. Like
Totally.
when Flowers became number one, I truly was not expecting that after
Not for
just,
a second.
we had so many years of her making amazing art, but not being like commercially successful.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we have another Party in the USA or Wrecking Ball or We Can't Stop moment in
Right.
2023. It was just so wild to me. So
Totally.
after that, I truly was like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
She's proven herself so many times. Like we don't.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Dead
who
Pets.
who do they need to prove people to? It's like just release music. Where I think, and like when you think of like when music started, God, however many thousands of hundreds of millions of years ago, it's like it wasn't to release a hit and go number one. It was to make you shake your ass.
Exactly.
Like it was to make you have
Period.
fun.
That's all our ancestors cared about.
Just enjoy it. Like listen to the music. Who cares if it's on? Oh my God, when I see they're like, this song, it's like Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter is on Spotify's constant replay playlist. I'm like, why are we checking these things?
Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
It is crazy.
And if anybody's listening and you do that, I don't genuinely think anything less of you.
Of
Let me
course.
preface that. It's not the individual. It's the culture that has been created online.
Yes.
It's what Stan, Twitter, and TikTok has created that I'm like, how did we get here?
I know.
Yeah. I mean, they use it as a way to hate on artists that aren't being commercially successful because they can't find another reason to throw shade or hate on them. So they go, oh, well, my fave outsold your fave by this many copies. It's so funny.
That's great. Let me know when your fave is releasing a entirely visual album 20 something years into their career, and then we can chat.
Yeah.
Let me know when your fave is collabing with Beyonce for when Beyonce doesn't always do collabs. Like that's very hard to come by. She's very selective. Let me know when your fave is collabing with Beyonce 20 something years into her career. Then we can chat.
That was one of my favorite moments in the recent interviews when she was like, oh, because I think she was talking about Ryan Beatty. She's like, he was in town writing for Beyonce. Well, so was I. And I'm like, yes.
Okay, so if you had to rank your top 3 Miley Cyrus songs of all time, what would you choose? And I know Becky and I talk about all the time, like this changes for us periodically.
Daily.
So what? Daily, yeah.
I will say my number one has stayed number one for years.
Okay.
And it is not a popular one, but it has always been my favorite, and it is Maybe You're Right from Bangerz.
Girl.
I think it is one of the the bridge on that, lyrically, vocal-wise, production-wise, it's such a breaking point in the album that's surrounded by a 4x4 and a, FU, which I love, but Maybe You're Right just has such a ballady, poppy vibe to it, and I just think it is so beautiful, and I kind of, as much as I would want everyone to know it, I love that they don't, because it's ours.
Yes.
We get to keep it for us, and we know, and it's just such a beautiful song, and I think it's just perfection.
It is definitely top 5 best Miley vocals performance she has ever given us. And I know that you saw it 8 times live, but that was the most mesmerized I've ever been.
Yes.
Ever when I saw that live.
It was unreal live. That was what kind of made it become my favorite. It was already in my top ranking for Bangerz, but I was I don't know. It's just and then seeing it live, I was just this is, and it was just, it's beautifully written. When you listen to the lyrics of it and the whole chapter part of it and everything, it's just so well done.
Yes.
I love that song.
Yeah.
Wow, I love that answer so much.
Yeah, Maybe You're Right, number one for sure. And like I said, that's kind of stayed planted there. The other ones change. Right now, I've been in a Can't Be Tamed era. I think I did a Miley deep dive episode a few weeks ago right before the album was about to come out, and I listened to all the albums through on my walk, and I was listening to Can't Be Tamed, and I was like, this album hits. I knew it hit, but it's so good. And Take Me Along, obviously I already knew it was one of her best, but it has climbed so high for me lately. And Two More Lonely People, those two, I've been and I also I love with Two More Lonely People, she's a little electronic, and it's very a sign of the times. When you think 2009 pop music, Black Eyed Peas was blowing up. It's
Kesha,
very Kesha, that electronic, she has that disco-y, not disco, but that under the bass, and then the beautiful vocals on top of it. I love Two More Lonely People, and Take Me Along, I think are my 3 right now. Those are my I'm locking in my answer.
Well, Take Me Along is about Nick Jonas, so of course you love that song.
Right.
That's why I love it.
I mean,
it's beautiful.
Also just a beautiful song.
Yeah.
Like the piano, so good.
What an
You know what else is like song that I feel like does not get any praise, and it was one of my favorites for years. It still is, but like I don't go back to it as much. Simple Song.
No, you don't even know. I'm a Simple Song stan.
She really is.
No, it even like when she performed it on Wonderworld with like ripping the papers, like that live performance, and like it's just so good.
Her Rock and
like,
Rio performance of that.
Yes. Oh my God.
Makes me emotional.
Simple Song was like, I would say that is top 5 for me. I wouldn't say top 3 anymore, but definitely Simple Song is so slept on, and it's just people need to like do their homework and like go back to these album cut tracks because they are so incredibly
always her best ones.
Written, incredibly sang, incredibly produced. Just like everything about them are just so obsessed.
I love these answers.
Yeah, Simple Song. Thank you for shining a spotlight on Simple Song.
Yes,
because it is.
If we have to be the ones to do it, I will do it. Because like it is so.
That's
good.
literally why we're here. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Fine by me.
If not us, who?
She's not going to do it.
True. Who would be your dream collaboration with Miley if you had to pick one artist?
If you would have asked me last February, Beyonce.
Well, yeah,
just because it's me.
Oh wow.
However, that was
granted.
a big day for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was when I got this outline that you sent me earlier, and I was like, I could say Lorde because she's my other fave, but like, and they are good friends, like, you know, they have a good whatever. But I'm like, I don't know if it would be Lorde. And I think for the bit of it, thinking on like the history of it and just like in recent moments, I would love Miley and Sabrina to do a track together.
It would be
so full circle. I know it'd be so full circle from like the Miley World competition. She just had Dolly. It's a little, their voices I think would be so twangy together and just so. Yeah. And then I think on the flip side, I couldn't pick one. I would love her to go back to Bangerz a little bit and do a track with Doechii. I think that would be so sick.
Oh my God.
It would be so, I think they would get along so well. I think, and Doechii's talked about Miley in an interview not too long ago, I'm pretty sure. I just think they would have such a good time together and like understand each other so well that it would just be a hit. Like without any question. I mean, Sabrina as well, of course, but I think that's a little more obvious. I think Miley and Doechii would really be, or even like Doechii doing a remix of Something Beautiful song. Like a few months down the road, like hopping on a track and like adding a verse and the kind of like, it could just be so cool, I think, for them to work together.
Well, I think at the Grammys, Tish Cyrus was talking about how at the Grammys they sat next to Doechii and her team.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So now that you're saying that, I could totally see because she was talking about how talented Doechii is, and just seeing how much hard work she has put into her career, and that she was just raging about it
so well. Yeah, Doechii has like, obviously she raps, but like she's a Southern girl still, so she still has that like vibe to her where I feel like her and Miley would like get it.
For sure.
Do you think Sabrina and Miley's gonna happen? Everyone's online talking about it.
I think we're closer to it than we're not.
Yeah,
I don't know if anything's like down on paper, and like I don't know anything. Like I think like it's more likely to happen than not happen. I think it's more of a when, not if.
Yeah,
kind of thing, you know.
I completely agree. So I think I might already know the answer to this question, but if you could choose the genre or sound for Miley's next album after Something Beautiful, which we kind of know it's probably going to be similar to what we have now, possibly. Yeah. But if you got to choose and you got to like wave your wand and choose, which one would it be?
Honestly, and it might just be like a recency bias because of what I was just saying with my favorites, but I would really love her to dive back into that Can't Be Tamed kind of like that like early 2009 like dancey beat, and like we kind of get it here and there, but like when you listen back to Can't Be Tamed, like she was playing, I mean the instrumental of Can't Be Tamed is so experimental, and like listening to like Who Owns My Heart, like when I like studied in college I would listen to like karaoke tracks because the lyrics would distract me, but I would like listening to the instrumentals. So like I had playlists of like Beyonce's album is instrumentals, Miley's album is instrumentals, and like I would listen to that because it would like stimulate my brain better. Yeah. And like the Can't Be Tamed instrumentals are so wrong. Like they're so not gen pop at all. And I just love how like punchy and different they are, and like it's just so cool. I would really like if she like did the mature version of that as a whole album, because we do get a little bit of that idea, you know, here and there, but like she was committed to that bit with Can't Be Tamed. And like I would love like a full dance, pop, electronic, not fully like electronic like Brat or anything like that, which that could be a fun road for her to go down for like a little bit, but not a whole album. I don't think I could do for Miley for that.
Yeah.
I don't think she could either.
I would love that like that vibe we had for Can't Be Tamed back again. I think it would just be fun and nostalgic, but she would also give a new spin to it, and it would just be really cool to hear like her matured vocals on a track like that.
Yeah, kind of like what I feel like she did that a little bit with Walk of Fame, right?
Exactly.
I think that's why Walk of Fame is such a high. Yeah, I think that's why it's so high for me, because I get that vibe again.
Yeah, no, I would love to see that too in her next album that she's already been like talking about.
Matured, and like I love all the sounds she experiments with. So like I never like go back to what you were doing, because I don't think she needs to fix anything. Yeah, but like let's
revive.
As the kids say, let's reheat those nachos.
Yes.
Yeah, where's Rock Mafia? Get them back here.
I think I would actually hit the floor if I press play on a Miley Cyrus track in 2027, whenever the album comes out, and I heard Rock Mafia's tag on it. I think I would be like, I'm good. I can go.
Yeah.
I can cross over.
Thanks for having me.
I've seen it all, and I'm good. Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm going to finish this track and then see my way out. I'm good. I've seen it all.
Yeah, no, it would be amazing to just hear anyone's tag on her song again.
Truly, yeah.
Like Meg Will made it. Funny. He also did that too. Do people do that as much anymore? I feel not really.
It's kind of like an expired thing. I think like Lil Wayne will always have the flame at the beginning of his song. It's just like always going to happen. But like it's kind of like even like Nicki's not yelling like Young Money anymore and things like that. It's kind of just like phased out, you know?
It was a sign of the time.
I was just going to say, yes, what a sign of the times.
Yeah, I kind of like it though. It's kind of nostalgic to me. So if they did bring it back, I would not be complaining.
If anyone's going to bring it back, it'll be our girl. I'll tell you what.
Right. True. She's not afraid to do it. Right.
She does not care. So looking ahead for Miley Cyrus, what are your predictions that she is going to do for the rest of this year with maybe the album promo? Is she going to like slow down? What do you think?
I think she's going to obviously finish this rollout. She's overseas doing, when did it come out overseas? Like the 30th, I think, right?
It's the 27th for the film.
27th. Okay, yeah. So that's obviously, we got a few days for that. I think after that, she'll do like some of the little shows like she does, like in, the pop-up, like at a hotel bar here and there. Yeah. But I do think for like the latter half of the year, I think it's going to kind of just be like under the radar, and like, she spent the first half of the year so on it, and like maybe she'll pop up and do, little things here and there. I don't think we're going to get anything major after like this summer. I think she's going to kind of like let it ride out. Then she's like, all right, I'm clocking out for a few months. But I mean, the thing with Miley is she keeps us on our toes. Like we never know what to expect. Like maybe she'll do another like New Year's thing. Like that was kind of, not that I didn't expect it, but like that was such a cool little thing for her to do. And like she's not going to do any shows or anything, I don't think. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have high expectations, but like, I think we've gotten so much this year that I'm like, I'm okay with like her slowing down.
Especially us like, knowing that is what she enjoys and she values her downtime, right? But also like, I think she's going to get back to work and like fix up whatever she's cooking with this next.
Oh, totally. No. Yeah, she's not stopping. Yeah. We're just not going to see her for a little bit. I think we'll see her for like maybe like award season next year. I'm sure she'll I can't imagine she doesn't get nominated for like a VMA, for a Grammy, for like things like, or at least like something with it. Like I can't imagine that. So like I think maybe she'll pop up here and there. Very like when she popped up for the VMAs 2019, or like, when she pops up and did her little things, but like it's not going to be the whole promotion or things that we're doing now. It's going to kind of fizzle out, and like she'll start working on whatever's next and live her life.
Yeah, I completely agree. I know she's talked about wanting to change how she rolls out music after this era. What do you think that means? Do you have any predictions there?
I was wondering because like I honestly thought the rollout for this album, not that it was bad, but I was shocked that we got any visuals prior to the album coming out. Like I thought she would, last year she did that interview when she was saying how like, oh, it's a visual album. I was like, oh, we're going to get singles because like Miley's, I don't think Miley's an artist who can just drop an album without like, I mean, obviously she did it with like Dead Pets, but like she needs at least something to like start. But I was like, I thought that was going to be her just like releasing a single or two, no music videos, and then the whole visual album. So I was honestly really shocked by this rollout in that capacity, because I didn't think we were going to see anything before the visual album, which I don't think was a bad decision or a good decision. I think it's kind of just, you know, the pieces fall where they fall and it is what it is. It's neither here nor there. But I don't know. I'm really curious like what she means by rolling out these new things. And especially like we've seen so much new ways of doing an era. I mean, you think Brat was such a unique album cycle, and like we're seeing like Kesha kind of follow a similar one, and Lizzo's doing similar stuff to what Charlie did with the private account, and like we're seeing very, not that people are copying, because you know nothing's an original idea anymore, it is what it is. Like Charlie's not the first person to paint a wall in Brooklyn, and she's not the first person to make a Finsta, like but just in recent years like she did it in such a well-rounded packaged way, and it was so, it looked so like they didn't think about it. It was just on the fly. But like she said, like that era was planned out to the day. Like she has talked about how like she was like, before I dropped anything, I wrote out how I wanted the entire album rollout to go. And like, I knew how I wanted it to go. So like, it was very well thought out, but it seemed so seamless. And I don't know if Miley will go as laid back in that sense, like as like not caring. Cause I think she does kind of have this persona of like, I am diving into fashion and whatever, but like maybe she'll do like a fashion show and that's how you hear the album the first time, or like maybe she collabs with a designer and they do it some like maybe it's like a fashion week thing and it's like, oh, this premiering the single at this and the Naomi's walking the single and like that's the first time we hear it, or like something. Because like even if you think like Nothing Breaks Like a Heart, they put like, what was it, disco balls around places and you can go listen to it, remember that? Like that was really cool. Like she does do kind of fun experimental things, but I don't know what she could do new, you know?
No, I'll be really intrigued to see what that means for her. At first I was thinking like, is she gonna go independent?
I could also see that.
First off, I just want to thank you so much, Andrew, for coming on our podcast, talking Miley.
So fun to chat with you.
I have so much fun. Anytime I will come back and we can just chat whatever Miley's topic it is.
Yes. If you ever want to talk Miley, you know where to
go. Yes.
And for any of our listeners that might have missed it, we were on his podcast and we talked all about Something Beautiful. We really went into like every single detail of every single song on the album.
Every word.
Yeah.
Word. I like to get nitty gritty. My listeners know I like to get into it.
And it was so much fun. It was truly a deep dive of the lyrics and everything about the music. So go check that out. I'll probably put it in the show notes below. But Andrew, where can they find your podcast? Where can they find you on all the social medias?
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you guys again for having me. This was so much fun and we have to do more of these in the future for sure. This was a blast. Absolutely. You guys are already on my calendar for the next time Miley releases an album. We'll do another album deep dive, God willing, whenever that is. But you can find me, my podcast, like I said, is Too Pop to Handle across all podcast platforms. We are also on YouTube and I do some fun reaction videos there as well. So there's some extra content. And I am at Too Pop to Handle across all platforms, Instagram, TikTok, you name it, I'm yapping. And if that's not enough, you can find me at Andrew Nucatola on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, the whole nine. All my links are there and there's so much I do a lot on the internet. So there's a lot to find and a lot to digest. So come join the party. I would love to have you.
Great. Yes, I know our fans will love your content as well.
I know. They've all been so nice. I was telling Molly and Becky before I started, but to everybody who listened to my episode and like commented nice things, thank you. Because I was like, oh, they're so nice. You never know with the internet, you know, you never know what you're going to get. So I'm loving the community you're building. I'm loving the community I'm building. And I think they would be happily married in between.
Love it. Something really special that happened at the viewing when I went to the movie theater to see Something Beautiful. There was some guy that like kept staring at me and I was like, what does he want? What does he want? And he comes over and he's like, I'm sorry. Are you the girl that does Talk Miley to Me podcast?
No
and I was like,
way.
stop it. And it was just like, so like, to meet someone who likes to listen to my podcast.
I remember seeing that on your story now that you say that.
Thank you so much. That was so special to me. And I can't wait if we both live here in Chicago. So hoping that this is like the start of a Miley community here in Chicago. That could be so fun.
That's amazing. I love that.
I just wanted to give a shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out to Nathan. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you guys.